Hello, Ruslan. Nice to see you. Here's Tomas, and I am Arturas. We are from Lithuanian Feminist Movement, and we would like to speak with you about your organization, about your job in Ukraine, and so and so. So, first question, get,
Yes.
please,
First
Tomas.
question is about you, dear Ruslan Kucharchuk. Yes, we've heard much about you from our Ukrainian friends. Also found much information about you on the internet, and you do many things. And you are the leader of at least of one big Ukrainian organization. So please tell us shortly about yourself, those organizations. You, we've met several times or talked several times before, so I remember you were a lot explaining for yourself about our Lithuanian feminist movement. So maybe you have found some resemblances between us and yours organizations. And
Yeah, thank you very much. Very glad to see you, Arturas and Tomas. It's a really great pleasure for us because it's important to combine our efforts to protect family values and nature rights. If to speak about our organization in Ukraine, it called its name of organization is All Together Movement in Ukrainian Всі разом, All Together Movement. It's a name of the organization, and also there is a name of the movement. It's like a non-official but a real movement, United Together for Families. So United Together for Families, it's a huge all-Ukrainian movement, and All Together organization is like a headquarter for this movement. We work together close with local churches, with other non-profit and Ukrainian think tank analytical organizations in our country. In fact, I'm a journalist. For many years, I worked as a journalist, as a political reporter on different mainstream TV channels in Ukraine, as a journalist, as a chief editor, as an anchor for many years. But at the same time, I very remember that very well. When 20 years ago, on September 2003, like 20 years ago, they decided to make the first LGBT pride in Kiev 20 years ago. I was 20 years old guy that year. And you see, it was like a big desire on my heart to prevent, don't to allow that event. And it was very funny. I found a small group of people, about 15, 20 persons, individuals. And 20 years ago, we made our first outdoor event against that LGBT parade, and praise the Lord, it was forbidden 20 years ago. And after that, it was low. My profession was journalist, but because of my Christian values, of course, my individual faith, I understood that all that LGBT agenda brings a lot of dangerous things to our country. That's why 20 years ago we began to do all our family human right work. And 10 years ago, maybe in 2010, 13 years ago, also we created this All Together movement. It's an official legalized organization. And now we have different branches of our activity. First of all is outdoor family festivals. Another activity is in Kiev and in Ukraine. For example, by the way, in Ukraine, we have, I think, maybe one of the biggest in Europe outdoor family festival, outdoor family movement. For example, before COVID, before 2019, we had in 2019, we had outdoor family festivals and marches in 65 cities. And more than 250,000 people were united together in all these 65 cities. We have pictures, video from each city, so we can prove this information. We can prove the statement. We have because I'm a journalist. For us, it's very important to cover all of that events, to make video, to make photos. So it's one of the biggest outdoor family movement in Europe, and we need to emphasize, to underline that topic, that Ukraine is very pro-family, conservative country. If we speak about people, population, towns, cities, villages all over all over the Europe. Even a monitoring group from EU came to our local offices trying to understand what is happening here in Ukraine. Like 65 cities, almost 300 people, 300,000 people are outside. So it is really huge movement. We have a movie documentary about it. I can share with you. Maybe you can also share with your audience there in Lithuania. Another our activity is think tank. So we make analytical materials, documents, articles, documentaries, different analytical reports about Ukrainian laws, legislative field, and so on. And the third direction of our work is our relationship with governmental relationships. So we work with parliament, with government, with members of parliament to protect family, to protect life in Ukrainian Верховна Rada, Ukrainian parliament. So this is like three main kind of activities we are involved in.
Okay, thanks. So you never answered our second question. So be shorter.
I'm sorry, one short question. Do you have some photos or maybe some videos from this family activities, outdoor activities, and you have here?
Yes, of course. We have a documentary on 30 minutes. So maybe after this communication, I will send you a link. There is a documentary, and also we have photo pictures from almost every city. So you can. It's very simple to prove this information, and we need to emphasize even now when we speak with our European colleague, or even sometimes, of course, in Ukraine we have such kind of like pressure from leftists, from European leftists, on Ukrainian government. So we, in our communication with Ukrainian government, explain that Ukrainian nation, Ukrainian people demand, not ask, we demand to protect family in constitution, to protect life, to protect marriage. This is like the position of all these cities and local communities, which were united and now are united in this moment, united together for families.
I've already seen some of these videos and photos, so I may prove they are now that they have those events no less than our big family march in 2021. We're very proud of. And then I'll just ask. I understood that Ukrainians, as you said, are very pro-family, very conservative and such. But now you are in the period of war going, heavy war going. So how these questions are perceived? Are they still considered to be very of big importance, or already they go aside because of what?
Thank you for that question. It's really an important question. Of course, when war began, I mean, this large-scale invasion war began in 2014, but when we speak about large-scale invasion in 2022, of course, the focus of public focus is moved totally to protect our land, to fight with Russian invaders, and is normal. But and by the way, very interesting that the majority, of course, Ukrainian conservatives and patriotic organizations, and they are totally involved in this war, protecting Ukrainian land against Russian invaders. Interesting that a lot of our activists, guys and men who were involved in our family festivals and in our different actions against LGBT prides, for example, in Kiev and in other cities, now are soldiers protecting Ukrainian land. So it's very, very important that Ukrainian people who protect families, now they protect Ukrainian land. But a lot of LGBT activists, they immediately escaped. They moved to Munich, to Berlin, to another countries, and from abroad, they try to promote that LGBT agenda inside Ukraine. Only imagine, for example, there are a lot of real heroes who died, unfortunately, on this war. They're very strongly pro-family guys. They were killed during this war. But LGBT activists, they demand, do not name Ukrainian cities in their names because they are homophobic. Only imagine, they died for the land, for Ukrainian land. They gave their lives for Ukrainian peace. And LGBT activists demand to cancel their names because they are pro-family. And it is very hard to believe, like what a strange situation we have, what a strange ideas they have. But in spite of that fact, they behave, I mean, that LGBT activists very proud, they demand now, they try to promote same-sex partnership bill, for example. And it's like the worst moment right now in the history to promote same-sex partnership, but they do that during this war. And of course, they receive and got a lot of funds and money from international foundations, and that's why they do that work, because they have salary for that. But if we speak about population, about Ukrainian nation, about the position of the total majority, it is pro-family, pro-life attitude among Ukrainians. Yes, we have a lot of leftist or LGBT propaganda in media, on media. I think this is a very common problem for all countries, and I think the same in Lithuania. And they like try to create the point of view, so-called like people, that Ukrainians are leftists, are pro-LGBT or something like that. This is a totally false information. I just gave you some examples. 65 cities. Also very interesting that from 2017 till 2022, till the large-scale invasion, until more than 100 local councils. We have a parliament, Verkhovna Rada, and of course local councils in all communities and in all cities. More than 100 local councils. They voted a decision to protect family in constitution, because in Ukraine we have a good article in our constitution that marriage is a unity of man and woman. It's a very good point of Ukrainian constitution. So now we do not need to put into the constitution that, we just need to protect that article in the constitution. So more than 100 local councils, they voted for this article in the constitution and against same-sex partnership in Ukraine. So the majority of Ukrainian councils, regional councils, voted for the decision. So it's not just my word, it's the decision of local officials all over the Ukraine. And of course, it helped us, now it assists us as all-together organization and our partners to behave firmly and actively to protect their position they showed in their council's decisions.
How many local councils do you have totally in Ukraine?
Oh, we have a lot of, but first of all, for example, we have 25 regional councils. For example, like Kharkiv, Kherson, Zaporizhia, like big local parliaments. So 12 of them, so half of them, voted the decision. And they combined the majority of population, so more than the half of the population. So half of the local councils, local parliaments, but they combined more than half of the population. Plus some small communities, a lot of like dozens and dozens of small communities also voted. So it's really a big deal. It's really a big deal. It's unique. It's unique example even in European continent. And all that pro-family organizations and people and activists, they are like a key people in this during this war, protecting Ukrainian land and Ukrainian territory and Ukrainian nation. It's very important to emphasize.
So it's very important news for our local councils, because at the moment we are trying, our organization is trying to push the same voting for all those anti-LGBT things in the councils. And at the beginning, we started with them being afraid and abstaining.
And your example is great. The Ukrainian example for that question is very great. And you did a great job in this. Yeah. So your example we sent to Lithuanian local councils to show how it works in Ukraine. Yeah.
Yes, and also we don't also believe what we hear in Lithuanian mass media, the same things about Ukraine, that you just ratified this Istanbul Convention, and now you there's this bill of same-sex partnerships on the table, so on, and they try to show that you are like very profound on this, and that this means Western civilization in our times, and Lithuanian should be also so. How are the things really in Ukraine? A few minutes before we started, we were talking with you also about this Istanbul Convention. You were telling us very interesting things. We haven't had this in Lithuania for somehow some reason. So maybe you could tell our audience how are these things for really?
Yeah. First of all, you need to understand that all that gender like bills or laws or documents or in government, they are not accepted by the majority of Ukrainian society. For example, like Istanbul Convention. As you know, it was adopted in Istanbul in 2014, something like that. So almost 10 years ago, or maybe 2013. So 8 or 9 years, we here in Ukraine were able not to allow of its ratification. This was like united position of Council of Churches, civil society, local councils I mentioned before. So it was like united. It was not only religious position of churches and Christian organizations. It was real position of the majority of Ukrainian society. But unfortunately, last year in 2022, in June, a Ukrainian parliament ratified that Istanbul Convention very fastly. It was like in a moment, just in a week before we understood that they wanted to do that. And unfortunately, by the way, it was not the requirement of European Union. Because even Ukrainian LGBT activists, they like to lie that this is the requirement of European Union. There was not such a requirement in official documents. But yes, it was a requirement of several European countries. So they said, you have to do that. But it was not in the list of official requirements of European Union until now. But unfortunately, many activists, leftist promoters, they just lie. They lie all the time, to be honest. They like to lie, to promote any kind of false information. They lie that it's like a requirement. Yes, unfortunately, in many European countries, especially Northern European countries, there is a like a strict like firm position and pro-LGBT, pro-gender, and they try to promote that in different countries. I think you feel that in Lithuania, and the same we feel that here in Ukraine. So in 2022, Ukraine was in a very difficult situation. Maybe somebody from Ukrainian government or presidential office or parliament, first of all, parliament, because it was like parliamentary decision, they decided that this kind of vote, the ratification of Istanbul Convention, maybe will help to build more strong relationship with maybe some European countries, but in fact, our relationships do not depend on that Istanbul Convention. Ukraine now pay by our lives of our people, by our blood. So we do not have any, we do not need show in any other way our European choice, our choice for freedom. It is enough that we are dying on the front lines, that Ukrainian soldiers gave their blood. This is the price. And there is no any need in ratification of some Istanbul Convention or some other such similar bills to show our European choice. But of course, unfortunately, some bad people, they promote that we need like to do more and more uh, deeds to show our European choice. But Ukraine it's a huge European country with our strong uh, dignity, and our dignity now is shown in bravery of Ukrainian soldiers and warriors who protect their land. But interesting to notice that during this ratification process in 2022, Ukrainian parliament made an exception in the so ratification was Istanbul Convention was ratified by the law. So the convention is about 60 pages, and the law about ratification is 2 pages. And in the law about ratification, there are some exceptions. For example, it is written there that no one article of Istanbul Convention can be used to change Ukrainian law about families. So it was like a kind of compromise of Ukrainian parliament to protect and to respect requirement of Ukrainian families and churches and civil society and requirement of some European countries, not of EU, but some European countries.
In Lithuania, nobody knows that about your notification. Nobody knows, and our media not shows this. You know?
Yes, of course. Only imagine if you speak about, for example, that 65 series that outdoor family festivals in Ukraine. Almost no one national TV channel covered that huge event. It's not like it was not like a 10, 20 people outside. It was 1,000 people outside almost in every city. But media like ignore that. So we have the same problem here. Unfortunately, media, my colleagues, because I'm a journalist. So, but when I communicate with them, I try to explain, hi guys, when there are thousands of people outside, you must cover that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what is the reason why they gathered together. You must. Of course, if there are like 5, 10 people, you have a choice to cover or not to cover. But if there are 100,000, you must. Why you don't do that? And there is no answer. It's a politics.
Yeah.
Mm. But that means Ukraine has the specific Istanbul Convention,
Yes.
different from other countries. And we are the first in Lithuania to clear it up. It's very nice from your side that we met. And you know, uh, as we all have the same problems probably throughout this Western world now, with these so-called cancel cultures and censorship of information and so on and so forth, are also trying to look for information about Ukraine from different perspectives. from abroad. So, in comparison, some harder question. Uh, Officially, we know about this that Hague, the court of Hague has issued this arrest warrant for Putin because of legal deportation of Ukraine's children, which I much support, and at least as a political declaration, it's very good because children should be in the first place, of course. And but then uh, I also know this information, which is more sad about Ukraine, that it had lots of problem because of human trafficking, also children, also orphans going to other countries, God knows where. And they had even cases of killing newborn children for stem cells. This big surrogacy market of Ukrainian women was quite known. Uh, and even from friends from Poland of the Euros were also very supportive. Ukraine learned that there was even a try to push legalizing surrogacy and breeding humans in laboratory conditions by Zelensky part itself at the beginning of this year, claimed to be demanded for admission into the EU. So still Ukraine has its own problems about family issues, life issues. And what do you, other politicians, the society of Ukraine, think about that? Do about that?
Unfortunately, during this great, huge war we are passing through right now, like thousands and thousands Ukrainian kids and children are kidnapped, in fact, and they are brought to Russia, and nobody knows what is their destiny. Like Ukrainian officials, they say about 20,000 of Ukrainian kids which were kidnapped illegally, and they are departed with their families, and now they are on Russian territory. But also, to be honest, there are a lot of course, a lot, not so many, but there are also kids in European countries which are and their destiny and their stories are unknown for us. Sometimes, with different reasons, they are taken out from families. And there are a lot of reasons for Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs also to study, to learn about their destiny. They're in Russia and they're in some European countries. So yes, unfortunately, thousands and thousands Ukrainians kids are kidnapped right now. And a few days ago, on June 9th, we had a big international summit in Ukraine. About 400 participants joined that our event. It was organized by organization Chalice of Mercy and all Ukrainian pro-family organizations, and also ours. Altogether movement, we were in an organizing committee, and it was like one of the key topic of the summit is how to find Ukrainian uh, kids and children which are kidnapped on Russian and other territories. So, and also we had on our event several Ukrainian MP, members of parliament, also the vice, like deputy minister of social politics, which and he is responsible for these topics. So also we have a official representative of government, like a second person in government, in Ukrainian government, attended on that pro-life and pro-family summit we had on June 9th. So we try to develop that strong communication with Ukrainian officials, trying to develop their understanding of importance of these topics, like protecting families, protecting children, protecting life, and also protecting unborn life, of course. And all these topics we lift up on that summit until now. But of course, we need to do that all the time, because there is no the point after which we can say it's enough, we overcome, everything is done. No, we need to do that all the time, all the time. Unfortunately, evil is not stopping. Evil try to destroy, to kill, to stop life, to destroy people's dignity. But so we need also, without any stop, protect life, protect dignity, protect families, protect nature order. It's really matter for us.
From what I've heard, I've got some new idea that it appears that protection of Ukrainian people's wise, you have not problems only with Russia, but on some smaller scope, maybe with other European countries too, sometimes, maybe even with our country. And it's a topic probably I'll be suggesting we'll come with you together one day to discuss. Maybe we also have to look after these things, at least in Lithuania.
Yeah, we need to combine European efforts, because I like to emphasize very often that family and marriage is ancient Christian European tradition. So please don't explain me that LGBT rights is the European tradition. No, Christian values, family, life, dignity is Christian European tradition, which now they try to destroy now, right now, in European countries, in Lithuania, in Ukraine, in Germany, and in all European countries. So we need to combine, to unite efforts of healthy organizations and people and individuals who lift up their voices and efforts for life, for dignity, and for family on the European continent. So I'm really excited what you are doing there in Lithuania. It's really, really important. And we are happy to cover your work in Lithuania. And also it helps us in Ukraine to show that family conservative movement in European countries also is strong and big, and it comes into power. And so may God bless your work.
Thank you, Ruslan, for your interview. Thank you for your speech. Thank you for your work you do in Ukraine. And your examples, it's very good. And we translate this in Lithuania and show to Lithuanian peoples what Ukrainian people do for family, for life, for women, for every for children, that moment you do in Ukraine. And I think we will meet another time, and we meet really, not by computer, but in real life, maybe in Ukraine, maybe in Lithuania, or maybe in Prague, Czech Republic. So thank you, Ruslan, for your interview. Thomas, maybe you want to say something? Oh?
I just coming to these thanks, and I'm happy of our cooperation, and God bless you, God bless your organization, God bless Ukraine.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.